Oh, I think we all know by now who the best and worst champions are of 11-19, but these champions, they get picked, they get banned, and sometimes we can't actually play them. So who are the 10 champions you should pick because they will be open in pretty much every game? What's up, GameLeap? They're just back at it, and in today's video we will be revealing the 10 champions who are flying under the radar, and there are some crazy picks in here. Now we will also give you the best runes and items to run on these champs, and I'll give you a tip for each as well so you don't run it down too hard. So let's get into it. Now the first champion role item combination I want to talk about is Taliyah support. Yes, you heard that correctly, Taliyah as a support. And the reason that some high elo Koreans are actually playing this now is all because of the changes a couple of patches ago. So because of these changes, the fact you're threaded volley, you can use this more often now in the bot lane as a poke and a rastal. This is awesome. And for your items, they change a little bit because for your mythic item, Everfrost is actually a bit more worth it than Luden's Tempest, simply because of the root, and because you're a support, utility is just more effective generally. But there is no doubt that if you haven't played Taliyah before, you might run it down in the bot lane picking her as a support, simply because she is actually hard to make work. But there's one tip that is going to help you all so much, and this is to save your W, because your seismic shove really is everything. This is going to make or break the bot lane, and if you're using this when you have it off cooldown every single time, not only are you going to run out of mana, but if you miss this and use this for max range, the enemy champions are going to have way too many opportunities to jump on you and kill you. So really what you want to be doing is saving your W and using it for quality rather than actual quantity. So when the enemy AD carry is going for a last hit, when the enemy AD carry is already CC'd from your jungler perhaps, or just to use it to peel your own AD carry, these are a lot better uses than just using it for the fun of it. And I should also point out Taliyah's passive, this helps so much with roaming around the map. So if you do want to play a poker ras support, but who's also really good at roaming around, then definitely consider playing Taliyah in 11-19. Now the next champion and role combo who's really underrated, this is Sejuani top, who actually has a 60% win rate in Korean high elo at the moment, and she's seen a lot more play this patch because of the Q buff, but also because Ignite and Teleport on Sejuani, this is actually becoming a thing now. You don't really need flash because you have a dash in your Q, and in the top lane where you're going to be going against melee champions, it's not like you need that flash anyway. Now I would recommend picking Sejuani top when your team already has a lot of damage. So when you have assassins and a high damage bot lane, Sejuani gives them the support they need and that utility in the CC to really go nuts. And it doesn't matter if you fall behind in lane because you have so much util in your kit, so you're always going to be effective. And the tip for when you actually play Sejuani in the top lane is to understand that you can cast all of your abilities when you're charging forward with your Arctic Assault. So when the enemy champion is close to you and you know you've got a guaranteed Q, press your W, press your ultimate while you're dashing towards them, and it's just a lot better way of setting up kills for your team. And you can do this in lane and in team fights, of course. Now the next champion who has improved so much recently, this is Singed, and that's all because of the Grievous Wound buff Riot gave Singed, so that when you have your poison going with your ultimate, you are applying Grievous Wounds to any enemy champion you actually hit that poison. So it's not just good in top lane because of all the champions who have an A sustain, but it's also good in the mid lane. That's right, Singed mid. This is the next champion role combo you have to consider for 11-19, and in Korean high elo, this pick has a 58% win rate. That's right, but unlike top Singed where most players are still going Conqueror, in the mid lane you go Predator, which was buffed recently as well. So your playstyle as mid Singed is really just to shove waves for your poison trail and then use your Predator to get around the map, help your jungler out, gank lanes, and your presence is just unavoidable. This gives you a great chance of carrying because you are legit everywhere, and the tip for Singed is to actually try and time your W with your E. So as you fling an enemy champion, put your W down and this is going to ground them so they can't actually react to that fling. This is amazing for setting up ganks for your jungler and your support, and it catches a lot of people out. This is one of the reasons why Singed mid is such an underrated pick, because people just don't know how to play against it. So definitely give this a shot in 11-19. Now the next champion and role combo we have to consider, this is Mordekaiser, and whether it's in the jungle or even in the top lane, there's one actual item I want to draw your attention to, and this is Nash's Tooth. Now Mordekaiser did get buffed this patch, that's correct, so your E is on a lower cooldown at rank 1, but the real reason Mord should be considered broken is just because of Nash's Tooth. This works so well with your passive because of the on hit, and you'll stack your passive quicker, and because it's giving you 100 AP, this is ridiculous for the actual amount of damage you deal. Enemy champions have no idea what will hit them, and the attack speed also allows you to stack your Conqueror quicker as well. It's extremely hard to duel a Mordekaiser with Nash's Tooth, so definitely give this a shot this patch. But just one tip, in teamfights, way too many Mordekaisers, especially in lower elos, are way too occupied with trying to ult the enemy AD carry or the enemy mid laner. If you have to ult the Ornn or the Malphite, do it. These champions bring so much to a team fight, and because they are tankier, they will give you more stats. So when you actually kill them and come out of your ultimate, you will be the unkillable Demon King. But if the enemy AD carry does headbutt you, then yeah, probably bring them into the death realm instead. Now another weird pick some of you might shake your head at, this is Taric, and it's not in the bot lane, this is Taric in the jungle. And when you're running Ghost and Smite with Taric in the jungle, this by the way has close to an 80% win rate in Master and above in Korea. That's right, 80%. And with Glacial Augment as your keystone and then Turbo Chem Tank as your mythic item, this gives you the CC and mobility you need to get around the map and actually gank lanes. And because you're Taric, you bring so much utility to a team anyway, when you don't have to gank champions in the mid to late game, you become an amazing peeler for your carries. So Glacial Augment working with your passive, so imagine a Taric running into a lane, using an ability, his next two basic attacks get 100% attack speed, which means you are going to get slowed, and then after actually applying this Glacial Augment, it's much easier to land your dazzle, your stun, and it just makes your gank so potent. And that is the tip, not to use your dazzle from max range, get to the enemy champion into auto attack range if you can, apply the Glacial Augment slow, and then use your stun. Now one champion who is kind of popular and might be picked a fair bit, this is Amumu, but not in the jungle, this is Amumu support, and in high elo at the moment he has close to a 55% win rate because he is just that good. Because the bandage toss now has a 3-second cooldown and you can use 2 of these, this means that if you land your first bandage toss, it's pretty much guaranteed to land your second, and you can perma CC someone with your ultimate for up to like 5 seconds. Now if you're a carry playing against this, what are you meant to do? You just have to cop it. It makes you so impactful and so dangerous, and I know some of you might have played this, but it's not played nearly enough for how broken it is. When you do get a kill or an assist on an enemy champion, this is going to reduce your ultimate's cooldown, so this is really going to help you to stay a force in the mid to late game. But the tip to really make Amumu work is to understand that in the early game you can be kind of weak, especially in the laning phase you can get poked down by range supports, and the tip I'm going to give you for Amumu is going to make you look like an Amumu smurf. So in the bot lane, when your AD carry is about to last hit his CS, try and land up your Q so it will go through where that minion is, and as soon as your AD carry last hits it, your bandage toss will go through it and hit the enemy champion. So try to line yourself up with that minion that is about to die. The enemy AD carry will have a very hard time of spotting this, and this will allow you to land your bandage toss and 1v2 the bot lane. Now another popular champion, and this is really the only one on this list who might get picked and banned a fair bit, this is Kha'zix in the jungle, and you might be like, what is special about Kha'zix in the jungle? Well, recently Kha'zixes were going Conqueror with Gore Drinker, they were going more of a sustained base setup, but now lots of Kha'zixes are going Prowler's Claw with Electrocute as their keystone. This means that you're back to playing Assassin Kha'zix, and in Master and above in Korea, this has a 60% win rate, so I think it's important to draw your attention to it because it's that darn good. The new Ghostblade has really forced this change because it's now giving you flat ability haste, and you still might want to go Dustblade, but Prowler's Claw is giving you the kind of mobility you desperately need against good players because they will know what you're trying to do. And that's the tip I'm actually going to give you when you're playing Kha'zix, because lots of players will know what you're trying to do. So the enemy AD carry might ask for their support to be near them, the enemy mid laner might buy Zhonya's, so the last thing you really want to do in these teamfights is be predictable. So flanking, getting in brushes, controlling fog of war around these areas, the more you can get behind the enemy backline, the better chance you're going to have of actually killing the enemy champions. So yeah, don't fight in a straight line. Now the last 3 champion role item combos we have to talk about, guys, for 11-19, and if you are enjoying this video, please leave a like down below. This next one is going to surprise a lot of you. This, get ready for it, is Zac in the mid lane. Not jungle, not support, not top, and it's kind of like playing Galio mid because it's almost impossible to shove you out of lane. You have amazing setup, you have a lot of utility for team fights, and your Q comes in really clutch because when you Q to hit a minion, you can use it to auto attack the enemy champion, smash their head together, and your jungler comes in, your support comes in. It's just a very cheesy way of winning mid and making the enemy mid laner tilt. Also, because mid lane has lots of areas of fog, you can hide behind walls, in brushes, even raptors, and actually leap into the mid lane to catch the enemy champion off guard. But a bit like Xin, you can get harassed permanently, so the tip for Zac is if you have to give up minions to preserve HP, do it. You don't actually need that much gold to be effective, so don't worry if you're only getting 5 CS per minute. You are always going to outscale that enemy mid laner and be more useful in most games. So yeah, don't put any pressure on yourself in the first few levels to win the lane. You are all about helping your teammates get fed and nullifying the enemy mid laner's threats. Now this next champion on this countdown, this is not as crazy as Zac in the mid lane, but it is still underpicked, and this is Xin Zhao in the top lane. And in high elo career, this has over a 62% win rate, and it's all because the Eclipse and Essence Reaver combo, and it's actually very annoying to play against, right? Because your W gives you poke, gives you wave clear, your E gives you a dash so you can instantly jump on the enemy champion to start a fight, and also the dash can work to escape situations. Your Q gives you sustain and a knockup, so a bit of CC, and your ultimate is amazing if you're getting dove and for actually diving the enemy champion, and in a 1v1 it's incredibly hard to beat you. And the tip for actually playing Xin Zhao top lane, most of the time you're not going to have to land your W to then land your E, so what you can do is actually hold on to your W so you use your E first to get in range of the enemy champion, knock them up with your Q, and then land your E. This means that by the time your charge is back up, you have your W mark on them, so you can dash them again when they try to flash away. And by the way guys, if any of you have actually tried these picks out, let me know in the comments down below. And the last one we have to talk about, this is a pretty popular one, a bit like Kha'zix, but this is Talon, and Talon in the mid lane. But I'm not talking about Assassin Talon with Dustblade or Prowler's Claw with the new Ghostblade and Umbral Glaive. I'm talking about Gore Drinker Talon still, which is still ridiculously good in the mid lane. In high elo career, this has a 57% win rate, and this is even with the Talon nerf. The sustain you get with Gore Drinker and Conqueror, it's like impossible to actually push you out of the mid lane, and because Gore Drinker is still giving you a decent amount of AD and a lot of ability haste, you can still one-shot people, you can still roam around the map, you can pretty much do everything Assassin Talon does, but you're impossible to kill. And the tip to actually play Talon like a pro is to understand how your passive works. So when you damage an enemy champion with an ability, this is going to add a stack to that champion. Now at 3 stacks, when you auto-attack that champion, you will consume these marks and the enemy champion will bleed. So knowing this, your rake, both parts of it, these both count as 1 stack. So this can be a possible 2 stacks, and this is the same with your ultimate. But what's even more important than this is to realize that your Noxian Diplomacy, your Q, this will reset your auto-attack timer, and as soon as you Q, you can actually auto-attack pretty much instantly, which will detonate that mark, and your damage and your one-shot potential just goes through the roof when you understand how this passive works. It will also show the stacks you've applied to the enemy champion, so pay attention to this, and if you can make use of it, the more you are going to win on Talon. So those are the 10 crazy broken picks you have to consider guys for 11-19, and as always, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our future daily uploads, and also remember to check out the GameLeap website on your way out. Some other sites re-upload their YouTube videos and they make you pay for them. We don't. We upload up to 20 exclusive videos that are freshly made each week by our challenger players and coaches, and they are for you. They are to help you improve to get to that mountaintop. So sign up, links in the description and comment section, and until tomorrow's daily upload, this has been the Chisel.